Okay, now for our safety and discipline. So anytime you're working with kids, you're going to deal with some discipline problems. A lot of kids come from homes where they're not being disciplined consistently. And so we try to make sure that we give them consistency here when we're working with our kids. And so we have the 5 I cans of discipline that we want to make sure that you know and utilize when you're working with kids here at Calvary, so we can keep it consistent. So anytime you're working with kids and they start acting out, it's generally because they're anxious or scared or hungry or something's going on. So we want to make sure that we take every step that we can to clear it up before it accelerates. And so you teach them the 5 I cans. I can stay safe, meaning I can keep my hands to myself and I don't have to hurt other people. And I am responsible for my actions. I can listen. I can listen and pay attention in class and not disturb my other kids and friends in my small group. I can learn. I can sit still. I can pay attention. I can listen to my teacher, and I can learn about Jesus without disrupting the class. I can respect. So a lot of kids don't know what respect looks like. So we have to teach them what respect looks like, so that it's not making fun of people. It's not disrupting a class. It's sitting still, being quiet, and keeping our hands to ourselves so that our teacher can teach all of our friends. I can participate. So making sure that children know that they're allowed to raise their hand and participate is really important. And even if you can't use that child when they raise their hand, you make sure you acknowledge them and let them know that you did see their hand and that you can use them next time, so they don't feel like that you're just ignoring them. So make sure we use that when we're having trouble with kids. That makes sure that they learn consistency in their behavior. We do have a 3 strikes and you're out rule. So if a child is having trouble with his behavior, his or her behavior, the first offense is generally a verbal warning. So just telling them, hey, we don't need to act like this. Make sure we're showing them how to act, going through the 5 I cans. The second offense, if they keep acting up, they won't listen to you, that's when you pull them out of an activity, whether it be games, snacks, or dancing at the end of our service. Whatever it is, make sure you take it away. And then make sure you let me know if that happens so that I can make sure it's reinforced when I talk to them. And then the third offense, if the warning and the taking an activity doesn't work and they continue being disobedient, you want to make sure that you bring them to me or anybody else that's in charge, such as the check-in person if you can't find me. And we'll make sure that we contact their parents to let them know that we've had these troubles. And we'll fill out a incident form to let the parents know exactly what happened, why it happened, and what actions were taken to deal with the situation. And so you can find the incident form in the link below as well. So we will have these on hand in most rooms, and the check-in person will have this as well. We also have a medical release and a new kid information sheet. So we will use the Breeze check-in, but we have to get pertinent information to be able to fill that system in to start students out. And so we have the medical release form, which also allows us to see what allergies children have, what parents don't want their children photographed, maybe put on Facebook. This is what allows us to do that. They sign a waiver by signing this form. If they don't want their student, they have to mark this form as we don't want our child photographed or put on Facebook. And of course, confidentiality. We make sure that any of the information that we're given doesn't get released to anybody other than ourselves in the church. All right, so why do we need a safety policy? For the protection of the volunteers and the children here at 226 Kids, we want to make sure that we provide a safe and caring environment for our kids that come. Parents release their children to us for an hour to 2 hours a week just to make sure that we're teaching them correctly and that we're keeping them safe while we have them in our care. Make sure that we are keeping ourselves as a people of integrity. Make sure we're conducting ourselves with integrity that glorifies God, and that we're providing nourishment for the kids in our ministry. We also need to make sure that we're protecting our volunteers, against any kind of false allegations or abuse. All of our 226 Kids volunteers, we screen through background checks, through training with our operating procedures and policies, making sure that everybody has a commitment form, they know what to do in certain situations. So this is why we do it. Again, we make sure that you have consented to a background check. We have an authorization to run that background check. And if there's no red flags, then you can serve in children's ministry. You do have to have an active membership with Calvary to be a lead volunteer, and have to be joined within 3 months of becoming a helper here at Calvary Baptist. We make sure that as a staff that we provide you with all the information that you need, such as the background authorization and what it means, making sure that you know that that information is not going to get shared with anybody outside the staff, making sure that you get the training that you need. If you feel like you haven't gotten proper training, just come and see me. I'm happy to answer any questions or go over anything that you didn't understand. We make sure that every year we review our safety policy, and we do make changes to it to fit different situations that we encounter throughout the year. We also make sure that we collect and obtain updated medical and liability release forms just for students and children that come, so that we don't have outdated information. So if anything were to happen on an event, we have correct information. Our background check overview is basically the background check is reviewed by myself or any staff that ran the check, and then our pastor's going to review it and sign off on it, saying that he approves of you being a volunteer. We do have a children's ministry commitment form and a ministry statement that we ask you to read. And so that ministry statement is an integral part of Calvary Baptist Church. We make sure that we're going to begin instilling biblical values as early as the nursery. We do that through music, stories, activities, and lead the children on their spiritual journey as they meet God. And also as they discover how to have a relationship with Him and become disciples for Him. So we want to make sure that you understand the vision of our ministry. It's to partner with parents to equip them to be what God's called them to be. The Bible calls parents to be the primary disciple makers in their home. And so we want to just come alongside them and show them what that looks like and how to do that, and just be a resource for them. One of the lists of qualifications that I want to go over to serve in children's ministry is just a few bullet points to make sure that you're a member of Calvary Baptist Church for a minimum of 3 months. Make sure you complete the volunteer screening application and background check. Make sure you're willing to adopt the mission statement and seek to help fulfill the ministry vision. Have a love for children and a desire to see them grow spiritually. Faithfully attend at least one adult worship service a week, and that's on Sundays when you're not serving. Is dedicated to your personal spiritual growth and strives to be a positive example for kids and other volunteers to follow. Has a good understanding of the content and meaning of the safety policy roles and responsibilities. So making sure you understand what you're learning here today so that you can implement it in our ministry. One of the things that I have you do is a commitment, just saying that you're making a commitment to the children's ministry here at Calvary, as well as the church in a whole. Making sure that you realize that the way you live affects how people view you, how people view this ministry, and how people view this church. And so one thing that I want to make sure everybody understands is that we do hold our volunteers to a very high standard, because our parents are using you as an example of what to follow and what a disciple maker looks like. And so I do follow Facebook, and I do keep an eye on any of my volunteers and how they act on Facebook and Instagram. And so if I have to come and talk to you about language on Facebook or pictures that you put on Facebook, I don't want you to be offended. It's because our parents are watching you, and if they see one of our leaders acting in a way that's not glorifying God, then that affects our ministry. And so just make sure that you are living an example, not just here at church, but in your personal life, in your walk at home, in front of your children, in your community, and on Facebook. Okay. When thinking of adding another activity to your family schedule, we ask that you consider the impact that it has on your commitment here. A lot of people sign up for serving in the church, and then baseball season rolls around and we no longer have time for the commitment that we've made. And so if you see that is going to be an issue, let us know ahead of time so that we can find you another place to serve that's not going to be impacted so drastically. I will do my best to disciple the children under my care by following the children's ministry standards and discipline procedures, which is what we just went over. And I will do my best to attend all leader meetings and trainings throughout the year. And so we won't have many, but we do have some prior to special events like Vacation Bible School, Hype. We usually meet before you serve at any Hype. Just different things before special events is usually when we do different trainings.